From the moment you opened your eyes in this world, you were born hungry. Hungry for life, hungry for purpose, hungry for greatness. But somewhere along the way, you stopped feeding that hunger with action and you started feeding it with excuses. Let me tell you something. Excuses don't fill your soul, they starve it. Excuses don't build legacies, they bury them. You were not created to settle, you were created to conquer. Today, it's time to stop feeding yourself excuses and start feeding your hunger for greatness. Hunger is your natural fuel, the fire that was placed inside of you before you even knew what goals, dreams, or ambitions were. From the moment you were born, there was a cry, a fight, a demand for life itself. And that cry was proof of the hunger living in you. It is not something that needs to be created. It is already there. Hunger is the instinct that pushes you to survive, to grow, to chase, to achieve. It is deeper than desire, stronger than motivation, more powerful than talent. Hunger is primal. It is the relentless pull toward more life, more strength, more meaning, more greatness. Without hunger, you drift. Without hunger, you settle. Without hunger, you die long before your body ever does. Hunger is not polite. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions or convenient timing. Hunger demands to be fed, and if you do not feed it with effort, work, and discipline, it will feed itself on excuses, regrets, and wasted time. That is why so many people live lives far below their potential. They stop feeding their hunger with action. They try to silence it, numb it, bury it under comfort. But the hunger never disappears. It gnaws at you in quiet moments. It whispers in your ear when you are alone. It keeps you restless at night. This is my last one. Hunger is the voice inside reminding you that you were meant for more than what you are currently giving. Hunger is your natural fuel because it does not care where you start. It cares that you move. The hungry person doesn't need to be the most talented, the smartest, or the strongest. The hungry person outworks everyone else. And in time, that hunger becomes the advantage that no one can deny. Hunger drives the athlete to practice when others sleep, to train when others party, to sacrifice when others settle. Hunger pushes the student to study past fatigue, the entrepreneur to build past failure, the dreamer to keep chasing despite rejection. Hunger has no off switch, and that is why it is the greatest power you will ever have. Hunger is what separates those who wish from those who win. Everyone has wishes, but not everyone has hunger. Wishes fade when life gets hard. Hunger grows when life gets hard. Hunger turns obstacles into fuel, turns failure into lessons, turns pain into power. The hungrier you are, the less excuses you allow yourself, because hunger will not let you be satisfied with mediocrity. It keeps you chasing, stretching, reaching. Hunger is not about greed. It is about potential. It is about refusing to accept less when you know deep inside that you were created for more. Hunger makes you dangerous because nothing can stop a person who refuses to quit. Talent can be matched, skill can be learned, but hunger cannot be faked. You can see it in the eyes of the one who refuses to lose. You can feel it in the presence of the one who has decided that nothing will keep them from their goal. Hunger gives you a different kind of energy. It gives you resilience when you fail, persistence when you fall short, and courage when fear tries to stop you. Hunger whispers, keep going. Even when the world screams, give up. The hunger is your natural fuel because it aligns with the way life itself is designed. Life rewards the hungry. Nature itself operates on hunger. The seed pushes through the soil hungry for sunlight. The predator chases hungry for survival. The river carves through rock hungry to move forward. Growth is born from hunger. The moment you stop hungering, you stop growing. The moment you stop chasing, you start dying. Hunger is not weakness. Hunger is proof that there is still more inside of you waiting to be brought out. Hunger does not guarantee success, but without it, success is impossible. The world is full of people with dreams who never move, with talent who never practice, with potential who never act. What they lack is hunger. Hunger is what makes you take the first step And hunger is what keeps you taking the 1,000th step when the path has grown harder, longer, and lonelier than you ever imagined. Hunger keeps you alive when motivation dies, when passion fades, when inspiration is nowhere to be found. Hunger is not about how you feel, it is about who you are. Hunger pushes you beyond comfort zones. It does not allow you to stay where you are because it knows there is more ahead. Hunger makes you restless in mediocrity. It refuses to let you settle for just enough. It keeps your vision sharp, your energy high, your actions intentional. Hunger does not let you forget the gap between where you are and where you could be. It burns inside you every time you see someone living the life you want. Every time you imagine the future you know you could build. Every time you remember the promise of your own potential. Hunger is the reminder that you are not finished, that you still have work to do, that you still have battles to fight and victories to claim. Hunger is your natural fuel because it makes you resourceful. When you are hungry, you stop waiting for opportunities. You create them. You stop complaining about what you don't have. You use what you do have. Hunger forces you to find a way when there seems to be no way. It makes you innovative, creative, and relentless. The hungriest people in history did not always have the most resources, but they had the fire to find solutions, to push boundaries, to take risks others were too comfortable to take. Hunger does not care if the door is closed. It finds another way in. Hunger builds focus. When you are truly hungry, distractions lose their power. The things that once seemed appealing, wasting time, indulging in comfort, chasing meaningless pleasures, become irrelevant compared to the vision that hunger drives you toward. Hunger narrows your attention and gives you tunnel vision on your goals. It tells you that every action must align with your purpose, that every choice either feeds your hunger or starves it. Hunger keeps you disciplined because it refuses to let you waste energy on what does not matter. Hunger is not about comparison. It is not about being better than someone else. It is about being better than who you were yesterday. Hunger makes you compete with yourself, to push past your own limits, to outwork your own excuses. It keeps you humble because it reminds you that no matter how far you've come, there is still more to achieve, more to learn, more to give. Hunger never lets you believe you've arrived. Hunger keeps you moving, keeps you growing, keeps you alive. Hunger is your natural fuel, and if you ever lose it, you lose your edge. The moment you get comfortable, the moment you stop pushing, the moment you decide that good enough is enough, that hunger begins to die, and with it, so does your growth. Comfort is the enemy of hunger, and hunger is the enemy of excuses. If you feel empty, if you feel restless, if you feel unsatisfied, it is because the hunger inside you is reminding you that you were not made to stay where you are. You were made to keep climbing, to keep reaching, to keep feeding that fire with everything you've got. Excuses kill dreams silently, and the danger lies in how subtle and deceptive they are. An excuse does not appear as destruction in the beginning. It feels harmless, reasonable, even logical. It is a quiet justification whispered to the mind, a way to ease the discomfort of responsibility, a story told to make failure feel acceptable. But every excuse is a thief, and what it steals is far more valuable than time or opportunity. It steals your future. Excuses are the invisible chains that keep people stuck in mediocrity, the silent killers of ambition that bury potential before it even has the chance to breathe. They do not destroy you in an instant. They destroy you over years, slowly, quietly, until one day you realize the life you wanted has been buried under the weight of reasons why you never tried. Excuses kill dreams because they replace action with comfort. Every time you tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'm not ready yet, or I don't have enough resources, you trade action for delay. And delay is the graveyard of dreams. Dreams are fragile. They require consistent feeding with effort, belief, and persistence. When you starve them with excuses, they wither. Excuses disguise themselves as patience, as planning, as waiting for the right time. But the truth is, there is no perfect time, and waiting rarely leads to progress. The person who acts with imperfect resources moves further than the one who waits for the stars to align. Excuses keep you sitting still while life moves forward without you. Excuses kill dreams because they shift blame. Instead of taking ownership, excuses look outward. It's the economy. It's my family. It's bad luck. It's too hard. When you live by excuses, you hand over control of your life to circumstances you cannot change. Growth requires responsibility, and responsibility begins with the admission that your future is in your hands. Excuses protect the ego in the short term by saying, "It's not my fault." But in the long term, they crush the soul by making you powerless. As long as excuses exist, progress cannot, because excuses remove the very belief that you have the ability to change your reality. Excuses kill dreams because they feed fear. Most excuses are masks for fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort, fear of the unknown. Instead of admitting, "I am afraid," people wrap fear in the language of excuses. "I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'll start when things settle down." These excuses feel safer than confronting fear head on, but they allow fear to grow stronger. Every excuse made is a message to fear that it is in control. Over time, fear becomes a habit, and every new opportunity is filtered through the same pattern of avoidance. Dreams require courage, but excuses make courage impossible. Excuses kill dreams because they create habits of quitting. The more you excuse yourself from effort, the easier it becomes to stop trying altogether. Excuses begin small, skipping a workout, missing a deadline, avoiding a hard conversation. But each small excuse builds into a pattern. Before long, excuses become your default reaction to difficulty. You don't even challenge yourself anymore because your mind has been trained to escape through excuses. Dreams require persistence, and persistence cannot coexist with excuses. The moment excuses are accepted, quitting becomes inevitable. Excuses kill dreams because they disguise themselves as logic. The mind is powerful in justifying inaction, and excuses often sound reasonable. "I can't afford it right now. I need more experience first. I'm too old. I'm too young." These statements feel true, but they are often exaggerated or incomplete. They highlight obstacles while ignoring possibilities. They focus on what is lacking instead of what is available. Logic without action is paralysis, and excuses exploit this by making you feel smart while you remain stagnant. Dreams do not require perfect logic. They require movement. The ones who succeed are often not the ones with the perfect plan, but the ones willing to move despite uncertainty. Excuses kill dreams because they erode belief. Every time you choose an excuse, you send a signal to yourself, "I can't." That signal, repeated over time, becomes identity. You no longer see yourself as capable of big goals, of discipline, of greatness. You begin to shrink your dreams to match your excuses. What was once a burning vision becomes a distant thought, then a forgotten memory because you no longer believe you can achieve it. Belief is the foundation of achievement, and excuses are termites that eat away at that foundation until it collapses. Excuses kill dreams because they waste time, and time is the one resource you never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose opportunities and create new ones. But the time spent making excuses is gone forever. Every excuse delays progress, and every delay moves you further from the dream. The tragedy is that people often realize too late that their excuses have stolen years from them. Years that could have been filled with progress, growth, and transformation. By the time they see the truth, the window for their dream has closed and regret becomes the only thing left. Excuses kill dreams because they allow comfort to win over growth. Growth is painful, uncomfortable, demanding. Excuses offer an escape from that discomfort, a way to stay safe and avoid the stretching required to change. But the comfort that excuses provide is temporary. It feels good in the moment to say, I'll do it later. But over time, that comfort turns into chains. The small ease of avoiding discomfort leads to the massive pain of unfulfilled potential. Excuses protect you from short term discomfort at the cost of long term satisfaction. Dreams demand sacrifice, but excuses refuse sacrifice, and the result is a life of mediocrity. Excuses kill dream because they destroy momentum. Action builds momentum, and momentum makes progress easier. But excuses break that flow. Every time you excuse yourself from action, you reset your momentum back to zero. Instead of compounding progress, you compound procrastination. The more momentum you lose, the harder it becomes to start again. Many dreams die not because the person lacked talent or resources, but because they kept breaking their own momentum with excuses until starting again felt impossible. Excuses kill dreams because they silence hunger. Everyone is born hungry for life, for growth, for meaning, but excuses act like noise, canceling headphones that block out that hunger. At first, you may feel restless, knowing you are capable of more, but the more you feed yourself excuses, the quieter that hunger becomes. Eventually, you stop hearing it at all. You convince yourself that you no longer want to dream, that it was unrealistic anyway. But deep down, the hunger is still there, buried under layers of rationalization. This silent suffocation of hunger is one of the most tragic consequences of excuses because it kills not just the dream, but the desire for more. Excuses kill dreams because they lower standards. Every excuse you accept lowers the bar for what you demand from yourself. At first, you may excuse yourself from one missed opportunity, one skipped task, one broken commitment. But over time, these excuses become the new standard. What was once unacceptable becomes normal. You begin to live below your potential, not because you are incapable, but because your standards have eroded under the weight of repeated excuses. Dreams require high standards, and excuses destroy them one by one until nothing remains but average effort and average results. Excuses kill dreams because they destroy trust with yourself. Every time you set a goal and then excuse yourself from pursuing it, you break a promise to yourself. Over time, you stop believing in your own word. You say you'll change, but you don't. You say you'll start, but you delay. You say you'll commit, but you excuse. This self-betrayal kills confidence and breeds doubt. When you cannot trust yourself to follow through, your dreams lose their foundation. Without self-trust, even the greatest vision cannot stand. Excuses kill dreams because they keep you in the past. Excuses often focus on what has already happened, failures, mistakes, missed chances, and use them as reasons not to move forward. They tie you to old wounds and old limitations, preventing you from stepping into a new future. Dreams require forward focus, but excuses keep your eyes locked on what went wrong. They trap you in cycles of blame and regret, never allowing you to break free and create something new. Excuses kill dreams because they make small failures permanent. Failure by itself is not final. It is a lesson, a stepping stone, a redirection. But when you respond to failure with excuses, you cement it. Instead of saying, I failed this time, but I'll learn and try again. Excuses say, I failed because it's impossible. Or I failed because I'm not good enough. This turns temporary setbacks into permanent barriers. Dreams cannot survive in a mindset where failure is final and excuses ensure that failure always has the last word. Excuses kill dreams because they are contagious. The more you make excuses, the more those around you make them too. Excuses spread like a disease, infecting your environment and lowering the standards of everyone in your circle. Before long, you find yourself surrounded by people who all accept mediocrity. And in that environment, dreams suffocate. Greatness requires community, but excuses build cages of complacency where no one pushes beyond average. Excuses kill dreams because they create regret. At the end of life, people rarely regret what they tried and failed. They regret what they never tried because of excuses. Excuses feel comfortable now, but they turn into regret later. They rob you of the chance to know what could have been, to see how far you could have gone, to live the life you were capable of living. Regret is the echo of excuses, and once it arrives, it cannot be undone. Excuses kill dreams silently, not with loud destruction, but with quiet decay. They are the small reasons, the tiny justifications, the believable stories that, over time, strangle potential and bury possibility. A single excuse may feel harmless, but repeated excuses build walls so high that dreams can no longer escape. This is why excuses are more dangerous than failure itself. Failure teaches, but excuses prevent you from even trying. Dreams require action, responsibility, courage, and persistence, and excuses rob you of all four. Pressure reveals character, and there is no escaping it because life will always present moments that test who you truly are. Pressure is not the enemy. It is the stage where your real self steps forward. It strips away the mask you show the world and exposes the raw truth of your discipline, your resilience, your values, and your grit. Under calm skies, anyone can appear strong, confident, and focused. But when the storm arrives and pressure mounts, the pretenders fade away and only the genuine remain. That is why pressure is a gift, because it reveals the truth about you in ways comfort never will. When pressure arrives, it does not ask permission. It comes in the form of deadlines, responsibilities, unexpected failures, family burdens, financial struggles, and the weight of expectations. Pressure presses down on your chest, challenges your mind, and pushes you into discomfort you did not ask for. But it is in that very discomfort that you learn what you are made of. Many people pray for easier lives, but the truth is that easier lives do not create stronger people. It is the very weight of pressure that reveals whether you are built on a solid foundation or a fragile one. Pressure reveals character by forcing you to respond, and your response determines whether you rise or crumble. Pressure reveals character because it exposes preparation. When the big moment arrives, when everything is on the line, you cannot fake the work you did or did not do. The athlete standing on the field, the student facing the exam, the entrepreneur in front of investors, the parent guiding a family through crisis. All of them will find their preparation revealed under pressure. If you built your life on discipline, consistency, and hard work, pressure will reveal strength. If you built it on excuses, shortcuts, and avoidance, pressure will reveal weakness. Pressure does not lie, it does not flatter. It simply uncovers what you have been practicing in the dark when no one was watching. Pressure reveals character because it strips away excuses. In a moment of pressure, you cannot hide behind explanations or justifications. The truth is laid bare. If you are calm under stress, if you stay committed when it hurts, if you stay focused when distractions come, that is your character being revealed. If you panic, lash out, or quit, that is also your character being revealed. Excuses disappear under pressure because they do nothing to change the reality of the moment. The only thing that stands is your ability to take responsibility and act with courage. Pressure reveals character because it magnifies values. Under comfort, it is easy to say you believe in integrity, discipline, and perseverance, but when pressure comes, those values are tested. Will you cut corners to relieve the stress? Will you betray your principles to escape the weight? Or will you stand firm, even if it costs you more pain in the short term? Pressure reveals whether your values are just words or a way of life. The leaders who inspire trust are those who hold firm under pressure, proving that their values are real. The people who crumble reveal that their values were fragile illusions built only for easy times. Pressure reveals character because it forces adaptation. When the world presses down, it does not always do so in predictable ways. Plans fail, obstacles multiply, and chaos enters. Pressure reveals whether you can adapt, adjust, and keep moving forward, or whether you freeze and surrender. Character is not about being unshaken by difficulty. It is about being resourceful enough to keep going when nothing goes as planned. Pressure teaches flexibility but it also reveals whether your mindset is rigid or resilient. Some break because they cannot adjust, while others bend and grow stronger in the process. Pressure reveals character because it unmasks fear. Fear is often hidden in everyday life, tucked behind confidence, charm, or routine. But under pressure, fear comes forward and you are forced to face it. Will you allow fear to dictate your choices, or will you confront it with courage? Pressure shows whether fear controls you or whether you control fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of it. When pressure is at its peak, you cannot hide from this decision. Your character is defined by how you face the fear that pressure uncovers. Pressure reveals character because it demands sacrifice. When you are pressed, you must decide what matters most to you. Will you sacrifice comfort, leisure, and immediate gratification to uphold your commitment? Or will you sacrifice your goals and values to avoid pain? Pressure reveals priorities with clarity. The person who sacrifices sleep, time, and comfort for their vision shows that greatness means more to them than ease. The one who sacrifices their vision to hold on to comfort reveals that their hunger was never strong enough. Pressure separates the truly committed from the casually interested, and that separation is the truth of character. Pressure reveals character because it exposes resilience. Everyone faces setbacks, failures, and disappointments. Pressure magnifies these moments and forces you to reveal how much strength you truly carry. Will you stay down when knocked down, or will you rise again? Will you treat failure as defeat or as a stepping stone? Under pressure, resilience is not a theory. It is either present or absent. Those who endure pressure develop unshakable strength, while those who surrender to it reveal fragility. Resilience is built over time, but pressure reveals it instantly. Pressure reveals character because it reveals patience. In a world where everything screams for instant results, pressure forces you to wait, to persist, and to endure longer than you expected. Some people break because they cannot tolerate delay, because they demand immediate gratification, but character is built in the ability to stay steady when the reward is far away. Pressure reveals whether you are controlled by impulse or by discipline. Patience is one of the highest forms of strength, and under pressure, it shines through. Pressure reveals character because it tests leadership. When everything is calm, anyone can call themselves a leader, but when pressure hits, the true leaders step forward. Pressure reveals whether you can inspire others when they are afraid, whether you can stay calm when everyone else panics, whether you can take responsibility when things go wrong. Leadership is not proven in easy times. It is proven in hard ones. Under pressure, people look for stability, courage, and clarity, and your character is revealed by whether you provide it or crumble yourself. Pressure reveals character because it intensifies choices. In easy times, choices feel less significant, but under pressure, every decision carries weight. Will you choose integrity or compromise? Will you choose perseverance or surrender? Will you choose courage or fear? Each choice under pressure reveals a piece of your character, and over time, those choices create the legacy you leave behind. Pressure does not just test your skills, it tests your soul. Pressure reveals character because it forces authenticity. Pretending is easy when life is calm. You can act strong, act disciplined, act confident. But under pressure, pretense collapses. Your true self emerges because the weight is too heavy to carry a mask. Authenticity is not a choice under pressure. It is the natural result of the mask breaking. That is why pressure is both terrifying and liberating. It exposes the real you, and in that exposure, you are either broken or strengthened. Pressure reveals character because it distinguishes between talent and toughness. Talent may shine in easy moments, but pressure does not care about talent. It cares about toughness, consistency, and inner strength. Many talented people crumble under pressure because their character was never developed to match their gifts. On the other hand, those with average talent But unshakable character rise under pressure and achieve greatness. Pressure levels the playing field by making character, not talent, the deciding factor. Pressure reveals character because it awakens hunger. When pressed, you discover how badly you want it. Do you want it enough to suffer, to endure, to bleed for it? Or is your desire shallow, easily abandoned when the weight gets heavy? Pressure makes this clear. Some people fold under pressure because their hunger was never real, but those who fight harder under pressure reveal that their hunger is unquenchable. Hunger is proven not when things are easy, but when every force is against you. Pressure reveals character because it strengthens identity. Each time you endure pressure, you come out knowing yourself more deeply. You learn what you can handle, what you value, what you are willing to fight for. Without pressure, identity remains shallow, untested, fragile. With pressure, identity becomes solid, unshakable, rooted in truth. The person who knows themselves through pressure cannot be shaken by opinion or circumstance because their character has already been proven in the fire. Pressure reveals character because it builds legacy. People are not remembered for how they lived in comfort, but for how they responded to pressure. History celebrates those who stood tall under impossible odds, who refused to quit when others broke, who showed courage when fear was everywhere. Your legacy is not built in quiet times. It is built in the moments when pressure was heaviest and you chose strength over surrender. Pressure becomes the story of your character, written for the world to see. Pressure reveals character because it is unavoidable. You cannot escape it. You cannot buy your way around it. You cannot hide from it forever. Sooner or later, life will press down on you, and when it does, your true self will emerge. The choice is not whether pressure will come, but whether you will be prepared when it does. Every day you build habits, discipline, and resilience. You prepare for the moment of pressure. Every day you excuse yourself, delay, and avoid growth. You weaken your ability to stand. When pressure arrives, the truth will be revealed. Pain becomes your power, and this truth is hidden in plain sight because most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain, resist pain, or run away from pain. But pain is not the enemy. It is the teacher, the sculptor, the fire that forges strength. When you strip away comfort and ease, what remains is the raw reality of growth, and growth always demands pain. Every achievement, every transformation, every victory carries with it a history of struggle, setbacks, and moments of deep hurt. The very thing you think is trying to break you is often the same thing that is building you. Pain is the doorway to power because it awakens parts of you that ease could never touch. Pain becomes your power because it teaches resilience. When you fall, when you are knocked down, when you suffer losses, the pain you feel is proof that you are alive and fighting. It is in those low places that resilience is born. Without pain, there would be no need to rise, no reason to dig deeper, no opportunity to prove to yourself that you can endure. Resilience is not something you read about in a book or hear about in a speech. It's something that pain teaches you when it refuses to let you escape. The ability to withstand hardship, to take blows and keep moving forward, is only forged when you have felt the sting of pain and refuse to let it stop you. Pain becomes your power because it sharpens focus. When everything is easy, distractions thrive. You can float from one thing to another, giving half effort and still moving forward. But when pain enters the picture, it demands your full attention. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter because pain forces you to zero in on what does. The person who has endured pain sees life differently. They value time. They value effort. They value purpose. Pain removes the illusion that you have forever to waste. It reminds you that each moment counts. And in doing so, it sharpens your ability to commit yourself fully to what matters most. Pain becomes your power because it humbles you. When life is going well, when success comes easy, ego can take over. You start to believe you are untouchable, that nothing can stop you, that you are in control of everything. But pain humbles you. Pain reminds you of your humanity, of your fragility, of the fact that you are not invincible. And in that humility lies power, because humility keeps you hungry. Humility keeps you grounded. Humility keeps you learning. The arrogant break under pressure because they never learned humility. But those who embrace the lessons of pain carry an inner strength that no setback can shake. Pain becomes your power because it gives meaning to victory. Success without struggle feels shallow. If everything came easily, achievement would have no taste, no weight, no satisfaction. It is the pain endured along the way that gives success its sweetness. The athlete who wins after years of grueling training, the entrepreneur who finally thrives after countless failures, the survivor who rebuilds after devastating loss, they taste victory in a way that can only be understood by those who have suffered. Pain deepens gratitude, and gratitude deepens joy. Without pain, success is empty, but with pain, success becomes sacred. Pain becomes your power because it builds empathy. When you have suffered, when you have carried heavy burdens, when you have walked through darkness, you gain the ability to understand others in their struggle. Pain softens you in the right way, not into weakness, but into compassion. It gives you the ability to connect with people on a level beyond words because you have been where they are. That empathy becomes a power greater than any personal achievement because it allows you to lift others, guide others, and inspire others. Pain transforms you from someone who only knows their own journey into someone who can impact the journeys of many. Pain becomes your power because it reveals priorities. Nothing clarifies what truly matters like pain. When you hurt, you quickly learn what is worth holding on to and what is worth letting go. Pain strips away the trivial, the unnecessary, the superficial, and leaves only what is real. Many people discover their true calling, their deepest relationships, and their highest values, not during moments of ease, but in moments of pain. The suffering reveals where your heart truly lies. And once you know that, you gain a clarity and direction that no comfort could have given you. Pain becomes your power because it builds endurance. Endurance is not built in comfort. It is built in the grind, in the days you want to quit, but don't, in the nights you cry yourself to sleep, but wake up to fight again. Pain teaches you to carry weight longer than you thought possible, to keep walking when your legs feel like they will collapse, to keep breathing when your lungs are screaming. This endurance becomes an unshakable strength because it prepares you for every future battle. When others fold at the first sign of hardship, you endure because you know pain is not the end, but the path. Pain becomes your power because it forces transformation. Nothing changes when you are comfortable. Comfort keeps you stagnant, keeps you repeating the same patterns, keeps you locked in the same identity. Pain disrupts all of that. Pain forces you to evolve, to grow, to become someone new. The greatest transformations in life are born from pain. Addiction that turns into recovery, loss that turns into purpose, heartbreak that turns into self-discovery. Pain does not let you stay the same. And though the process is brutal, the result is power you never imagined you had. Pain becomes your power because it reveals inner strength. You never know how strong you are until strength is the only choice you have left. Pain pushes you to that point where quitting feels like an option, but survival demands otherwise. In that moment, you discover reservoirs of strength you did not know existed. You realize that the limits you believed in were illusions, that your capacity to endure and to rise is far greater than you imagined. That inner strength, once revealed, becomes permanent. You carry it with you into every future challenge, knowing that if you survived before, you can survive again. Pain becomes your power because it strips away entitlement. In a world where many expect quick results, instant gratification, and guaranteed rewards, pain reminds you that nothing worthwhile is given without cost. Pain teaches you to earn, to work, to sacrifice, to respect the process. It removes the illusion that you are owed anything and instills the truth that everything worth having comes with a price. That perspective is power because it makes you relentless. You no longer wait for things to be handed to you. You go after them with everything you have because pain has taught you the value of the fight. Pain becomes your power because it strengthens discipline. Discipline is not formed in comfort, it is formed in struggle. The early mornings, the long hours, the repeated failures, all of these bring pain. And through that pain, discipline is built. Pain trains the mind to obey, to push through resistance, to stay committed when motivation fades. Those who avoid pain never build discipline, but those who embrace it become unbreakable. Discipline born from pain becomes a superpower because it allows you to achieve consistency that others cannot match. Pain becomes your power because it silences fear. Once you have endured pain, fear loses its hold on you. You realize that the worst you imagined has already happened, and you survived. Fear feeds on the unknown, but pain brings the unknown into reality and forces you to face it. Once you know that you can walk through suffering and come out stronger, fear no longer controls your choices. You move forward boldly, not because life is easy, but because pain has taught you that you can survive the hardest parts of it. Pain becomes your power because it fuels hunger. Every setback, every rejection, every failure becomes fuel for the fire. Pain stirs a deep desire to prove, to rise, to overcome. Hunger that is born from pain is stronger than ordinary ambition because it is personal. It is not just about winning, it is about redemption, about transformation, about refusing to let suffering have the final word. That hunger drives you further, keeps you pushing when others quit, keeps you fighting long after comfort would have made you stop. Pain becomes your power because it exposes weakness and forces you to strengthen it. In ease, your weaknesses hide comfortably in the background. You do not notice them because nothing is testing them. But pain exposes every gap, every vulnerability, every flaw. And though this exposure hurts, it is the key to growth. Pain gives you the mirror you need to see where you must improve. And once you strengthen those areas, you become more complete, more powerful, more capable. Pain is the spotlight that reveals where the work must be done. Pain becomes your power because it connects you to purpose. Many of the greatest missions, movements, and legacies in history were born out of pain. People who suffered injustice fought for justice. People who endured loss created healing for others. People who knew despair built hope for millions. Pain awakens purpose because it makes life too serious for wasted time and too valuable for meaningless pursuits. It forces you to ask deeper questions and to dedicate yourself to something bigger than yourself. That connection to purpose is one of the most powerful forces a human can carry, and it is pain that often plants its seed. Pain becomes your power because it breaks illusions. Comfort allows you to live with lies, to tell yourself you are further along than you are, to believe you are stronger than you are. Pain shatters those illusions. It shows you exactly where you stand, exactly what you are capable of, exactly how far you have to go. That truth can hurt, but it is liberating because only in truth can you grow. Illusions are chains that keep you stuck, but pain breaks those chains and forces you to confront reality head on. And in that confrontation lies freedom, because once you know the truth, you can build real strength, not imagined strength. Pain becomes your power because it builds gratitude. Once you have known deep pain, you no longer take small joys for granted. You no longer overlook the simple blessings of life because you understand how fragile they are. Gratitude rooted in pain is not shallow, it is profound. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you joyful even in struggle, and it fuels resilience because you see life as a gift, even when it is hard. Gratitude transforms pain into perspective, and that perspective is power. Pain becomes your power because it teaches you to embrace the process. Too often people focus only on the destination, only on the reward, but pain forces you to find strength in the journey itself. It makes you value each step, each lesson, each small victory. You stop rushing toward the end and start learning from the middle. Pain deepens your relationship with the process, and in doing so, it gives you the power to sustain long-term pursuit without burning out. Pain becomes your power because it forges unshakable confidence. Confidence built on comfort is fragile. It disappears the moment things go wrong. But confidence built on pain is permanent. When you know that you have survived storms, endured hardship, carried weight beyond what you thought possible, you carry a confidence that nothing can take away. You no longer need external validation because your confidence comes from within, from the knowledge that you have faced pain and kept moving forward. That kind of confidence is unstoppable because it is rooted in experience, not illusion. Action separates winners from talkers, and that single truth defines the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Talk is easy. It costs nothing. It demands no sacrifice. It gives the illusion of progress without ever moving you forward. Action, on the other hand, is costly. It requires energy, discipline, courage, consistency, and sacrifice. Action demands you put your words, your intentions, your visions into motion where they can either rise or fall under the weight of reality. Winners are not those who had the best ideas, the biggest dreams, or the loudest voices. They are those who took action when it was hard, when it was scary, when it was uncertain. The world is full of people who talk about what they are going to do, but history remembers the ones who acted. Action separates winners from talkers because action creates momentum. A dream left in your mind is just a fantasy, but the moment you take the first step, it becomes real. Even the smallest action begins to generate momentum, and momentum is power. Winners understand that progress comes not from thinking about what to do, but from doing anything that moves them closer. Talkers wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions, and in their waiting, their dreams with her. Winners act with imperfect plans, imperfect conditions, and imperfect knowledge, and through their action, they create opportunities that talkers will never see. Action separates winners from talkers because action builds credibility. Anyone can say what they will do, but only action proves it. Talkers promise big things, but over time, their lack of action erodes trust. People stop believing them because they never see evidence. Winners, on the other hand, may speak less, but their actions speak volumes. They earn respect not through their words, but through their results. Action becomes proof, and proof is what builds influence, trust, and legacy. The person who consistently acts, even quietly, commands more respect than the one who talks loudly but never moves. Action separates winners from talkers because action brings clarity. Talkers spend endless hours debating, analyzing, doubting, and imagining every possible outcome. But they never gain true clarity because clarity only comes through movement. Winners act, and in acting, they learn. Each step, whether it succeeds or fails, teaches them something new. Action turns uncertainty into knowledge, while talk keeps uncertainty alive. The only way to know the path is to walk it. And winners understand this. They embrace the messiness of action because they know that every step reveals more than 1,000 words of speculation ever could. Action separates winners from talkers because action develops skill. Talking about something will never improve your ability to do it. Winners know that mastery comes through repetition, practice, trial, and error. They are willing to act badly at first, to make mistakes, to stumble, because they know that only through doing can they grow. Talkers, afraid of failure, remain stuck in theory, never building the skill that action develops. Winners become experts not because they dreamed more, but because they did more. Skill is the reward of action, and it is skill that creates results. Action separates winners from talkers because action defeats fear. Fear thrives in stillness, in hesitation, in overthinking. The longer you wait, the stronger fear grows. Talkers feed fear with delay, with excuses, with endless conversation about what could go wrong. Winners starve fear by acting. They feel it acknowledge it, but move anyway. And in moving, they weaken its grip. Action builds courage because courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of fear. Every action taken against fear builds strength, while every delay strengthens fear's hold. Winners understand that fear dies in the presence of action. Action separates winners from talkers because action creates results. Talkers may imagine success, visualize it, or speak of it, but only action brings it into existence. Winners are not interested in endless conversation without evidence. They want results, and they know results are born of consistent effort. Action produces outcomes. Outcomes create feedback, and feedback creates progress. Talk creates nothing but noise. The difference between a dreamer and a doer is not in the size of their dream, but in the willingness to act on it. Action separates winners from talkers because action builds discipline. Taking action consistently, especially when motivation fades, is what builds the muscle of discipline. Winners are defined not by bursts of effort, but by steady, relentless action day after day. Talkers wait for motivation, for the right feeling, for the surge of inspiration. But winners know that action comes first, motivation follows. Discipline is not built in thought, it is built in repetition. And repetition only exists through action. The more you act, the stronger your discipline grows. And the stronger your discipline, the more unstoppable you become. Action separates women from talkers because action demands accountability. When you act, your results are visible. You cannot hide. Action exposes effort or the lack of it. Talkers avoid this exposure by staying in the realm of words where failure is invisible. Winners welcome accountability because they understand it is the only way to grow. They would rather face the discomfort of visible effort than hide behind invisible talk. Action puts you on the line, and that very pressure forces growth. Action separates winners from talkers because action requires sacrifice. Winners know that acting on their goals means giving up comfort, leisure, and sometimes even relationships that hold them back. Talkers avoid sacrifice by staying in the safe zone of words where nothing is lost, but also nothing is gained. Winners embrace sacrifice because they know it is the price of progress. Every act of sacrifice is a declaration that the goal matters more than temporary ease. And this willingness to pay the price is what separates winners from those who only speak. Action separates from talkers because action builds resilience. Every act exposes you to the possibility of failure, and every failure builds resilience when faced properly. Winners accumulate resilience because they act, fail, learn, and act again. Talkers avoid failure by avoiding action, but in doing so, they also avoid resilience. They remain fragile, easily broken by challenges, because they never built the toughness that repeated action creates. Resilience is not formed in theory, it is forged in action. Action separates winners from talkers because action multiplies opportunities. Every step taken opens doors you could not see from the starting line. Talkers never discover these doors because they remain stuck at the beginning, waiting for opportunities to appear. Winners act, and through that action, they stumble into connections, chances, and breakthroughs that words alone could never bring. Opportunity often hides behind action, and only those who move find it. Action separates winners from talkers because action creates identity. You do not become a runner by talking about running. You become a runner by running. You do not become a leader by talking about leadership. You become one by leading. Action shapes identity because what you repeatedly do becomes who you are. Talkers never change their identity because they never change their behavior. Winners redefine themselves through consistent action, and that identity fuels further action in a powerful cycle. Action separates winners from talkers because action reveals character. Talkers can pretend to be disciplined, motivated, or committed, but when it is time to act, the truth is revealed. Action leaves no room for illusion. Winners prove their character not in their words, but in their deeds, and this authenticity sets them apart. Talkers rely on appearances, winners rely on evidence. Character is built in action, and without it, words are hollow. Action separates winners from talkers because action generates energy. While inaction drains you, action energizes you. Talkers often feel tired, unmotivated, and stagnant because they never ignite the fire of movement. Winners, even when exhausted, find renewed energy in doing because every small action fuels the spirit with progress. Energy is not waiting to be found. It is created by motion, and winners create it daily through relentless action. Action separates winners from talkers because action compounds over time. One action may seem small, but repeated daily, it builds an unstoppable momentum. Talkers may appear busy with their words, but without consistent action, nothing accumulates. Winners understand the power of compounding effort. They know that each day of action, no matter how small, adds to the foundation of greatness. Over weeks, months, and years, the difference becomes undeniable. Action separates winners from talkers because action leaves legacy. Words are forgotten, but actions remain. Generations do not remember what people said they would do. They remember what was done. Winners carve their names into history, not with speeches of intention, but with acts of courage, discipline, and persistence. Legacies are built on evidence, not promises, and evidence is born from action. Talkers vanish in silence, but winners live on through the impact of what they did. Action separates winners from talkers because action transforms vision into reality. A dream spoken is only air. A dream acted on becomes tangible. Talkers spend their lives describing visions that never materialize, while winners live their visions by pursuing them relentlessly. Every skyscraper, every invention, every movement, every masterpiece existed first as an idea, but it became real only when someone took action. Winners live in reality, not in endless conversation about possibility. Action separates winners from talkers because action closes the gap between intention and destiny. Everyone has intentions, intentions to be healthier, to build success, to improve relationships, to chase dreams, but intentions without action mean nothing. Winners close the gap with action, and in doing so, they bridge the space between who they are and who they want to become. Talkers live forever in that gap, always intending but never arriving. Winners arrive because they move